Aloha and welcome to the Everything You podcast. My name is Nicole and we have a really special guest here today. So joining me is Kianna Briggs, and she is first and foremost, she's built up an extensive career in diversity, equity and inclusion. 2 awards with the Open Women's Network and one with Join Our Table, which is a platform for British Black women who work in media. And welcome, Kianna.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. No problem. So, the reason why we've got you on today is primarily to talk about the transition between 25 to 30.
Yeah.
And, alongside your career, you've built up an extensive network, like I said, but, there's going to be changes in terms of where you've started and where you are now.
Yeah.
And so it'd be really nice to kind of delve into that a little bit and talk about how you found managing your fitness, your wellness over the years of your career as well. So let's start from the beginning. Did you know that you wanted to get into DE&I?
No. I kind of fell into it. I feel like when I graduated university 10 plus years ago now, and I got my first sort of big girl job, I was the only Black person for a while in that company. And it was all new to me because I grew up in South London. Everyone looks like me, sounds like me. All my friends look like me. So I didn't really experience anyone different to me until I started my day job, I guess.
Yeah.
And in that first job was the first time I experienced what anxiety was, what microaggressions were, what small bullying things were as well. But I didn't know what it was at the time. I was so young and I kind of passed it off as banter. And then when I transitioned into my next job and I saw people that looked like me in the company, that's when I was like, oh my God, we exist in the workplace. We are there. And I think slowly in the back of my mind, I didn't know D&I was this thing. I just wanted to join a company where I could see myself in that company.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to the Black Lives Matter movement. And that's when my D&I spark kind of hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think it's something that we all go through, where I think everybody has that experience when you go into the workplace from, after uni or even when you're at school and you go into the workplace and you're the only person, you're the only Black person or even the only ethnic person that's there, and you pick up on these things and you think, am I imagining this or is this something that's actually happening?
Yeah.
And it's not until you speak to other people and you learn about their experiences that you're like, oh, actually, this is something that is definitely really prevalent and we need to try and do something about it. And it's interesting that you say that the BLM, that had a big impact because it's when people started to think, oh, actually, other people started to think there is something going on here and we need to make a change.
Yeah. I think people got more brave talking about it. I was more open about my experience and I realized that everyone had a story to share as well. Fast forward now, like it's out of this world. You kind of have to talk about it in every context. But 5 years ago, it was still this new shiny thing. And I was like, I want to get involved. What can I do to support it? How can I champion it? And that's kind of my natural progression started.
Yeah. So initially recruitment?
Initially recruitment. Yeah. Fell into recruitment as you do.
Okay.
I just Googled ways to make money. Like I left university. I was like, right, ways to make money. And I knew I could talk to people. And that was my sort of special thing about me. And the recruitment came up. And on the internet, it said 100K in your first year. And I was like, sign me up. I was like, get me in this job.
Yeah.
So I joined a recruitment agency and it was so new to me. I look back as a grown up now, I was so naive. I changed who I was. I looked a lot different. I was very, very skinny back then. I could fit into size 6 back then. So I was really small. And I spoke differently as well. I changed my accent. In my first week, one of the guys was like, you speak really well for a Black person.
Oh God, here we go. The amount of times.
But do you know what? Back then, I laughed it off.
Yeah.
When really and truly, I should have corrected him.
Yeah.
But I was so young and I wanted to be accepted in the company that I just laughed it off. You know?
I think that's really common. And I think now, like obviously you remember what it was like back in the day. And you're like, but now it's like, what do you mean by that?
Oh, I love doing that.
It's my favourite thing. And then they're so shocked that you've actually questioned.
That's my advice to everyone. One was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And then they were like, stuttering.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So in terms of, I guess, making that transition into DE&I, what was the number one thing? And also, actually, before we go into that, did you find that when you were in recruitment that people had really strong biases when they were making decisions or bringing people in? Did you see that before you had that kind of diversity lens?
100%. And I would always question, why aren't there people that look like myself in management positions, for example, when we exist in the world? Why aren't we there? And when I'm talking to hiring managers, for example, and they're recruiting certain people and they're giving me the feedback, they're always like, oh, they're not about cultural fit. And I'm always like, what does that actually mean? They say that. Back in the day, they said, not anymore, but back in the day, they did say that. And I always be like, oh, what does that actually mean? And what they basically mean is that they're not the kind of person they want in their team. They want someone that's like them. So when someone says, oh, that person reminds me of me when I was younger, that's an alarm to me. Become like, we don't want you when you were younger. We want someone new, someone different, someone different. So I think that was something that's a common theme when it comes to recruitment. But also we all have our own biases. We do naturally. You know, whenever I'm looking at CVs, for example, and I see someone that went to a school in my area, I'm like, oh my God, I want to talk to them. But I'm like, no, Kianna, are they good on paper? Can they do the job first? So it's identifying what your own biases are, but also having other people in the room to check you. So I'm a big believer in having a diverse interview panel where you can, because if you've got the same Harry interviewing that one person, you're not going to get a different end result, basically. So I think it's super important to diversify wherever you can in the interview process.
Yeah, I think so. And it's so hard, isn't it? Because like you say, we all have our own biases and we sometimes can, you know, make decisions where it's like, okay, how would that look if we kind of got rid of it? I've got a client actually who she works for Selfridges and she's worked there for years and years, and you know she's very high up, and she was saying that when she does interviews she has, I think the first round is she doesn't it's like the camera's off, and then she kind of does another thing where she doesn't see them and then she brings them in, so because she just doesn't want to have that kind of bias playing a massive role, as little as she can help it. You know?
There's a thing as well, some people are doing anonymizing the CVs, so they're removing names from CVs. I don't believe in that personally.
Okay, interesting.
And it's quite controversial because everyone thinks that's the way to solve it. But I think if you educate and train your managers to remove their biases, you shouldn't have to remove the names. People's names is their identity. We can't take that away from them. And I get it, you want to remove, my name is pretty English, for example, so you might think I'm a white person. We're really truly, I'm black. But if you don't see my name, you're not seeing who I am. So I'd rather us educate people than take away someone's identity.
It kind of removes the work, doesn't it? And the work is where the great things happen, where they can actually think, oh, actually, you know, I don't think like that anymore, or this experience is really different to how it was 5-10 years ago. I really like your posts actually on LinkedIn, and I was telling Lauren, the ones that are like morning with a cup of tea.
Oh yeah, that's my thing.
That is your thing. It's so good.
For about a few years now, that's my USP.
Yeah, it's great.
I'll tell you something though, someone tried to use my coffee once on their post, and I was like, excuse me.
Did you say something?
Well, one of my old colleagues, my friend texted me and she was like, I thought it was your post, Kianna. It's actually so-and-so's post. I just politely texted and I was like, hey, you're using my coffee cup. And she was like, I'm just inspired. And I was like, I get that, but I need you to change it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's my thing. She was like, no, okay, it's fine. Yeah, because that is my thing.
That is your thing.
And it's something that I've worked towards. And I don't own the coffee cup on
No, but it's just, I guess, the way that it's set up. And like, if that's kind of what you've done.
Yeah, for years now.
Yeah, it's
my
great.
personal brand.
But I like it because it kind of makes you think.
Yeah.
And, you know, what you say afterwards is obviously the best thing. And it kind of points out people's biases again. And the way that things you wouldn't even think about. I think one of them was, I was talking to Lauren about it. And it was something about diaries and calendars and putting a diary together and expecting somebody to be able to join a meeting last minute or something so without the preparation.
One of my pet peeves is when someone just puts in an invitation in your diary without an agenda. And it's super important because I need to know what I'm going into. I want to be prepared. But also another thing as well is I always do a gentle reminder.
Yeah.
It's my morning thoughts in the morning. I'm always like, gentle reminder, just a quiet reminder. But gentle reminder to please put an agenda in that calendar invite. And also, whenever I used to get anxiety back in the day. Whenever someone would Teams me and say, "Are you free for a chat?"
Oh, yeah.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Yeah.
I always get really scared. Some more like, it's great, I am free for the chat, but could you let me know what it's about first?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? And I think if somebody, you know, it does have issues around anxiety, or if they're just going through a particular time where it's like they just kind of need everything to be, you know, a little bit more sensitive. Not even sensitive. I think it's just common sense, isn't it? Really, just putting everything in there. And sometimes I guess people might be in a rush and then they put it in, and then they don't really think about, you know, the implications of what it is. But yeah. So transitioning into fitness. Yeah. So you've taken part in a couple of my step challenges. So thank you for taking part in those. But you are, you know, obviously you're friends with my sister, and you guys have built up like a buddy system over the years. Particularly, obviously, with everything, but when it comes to fitness, and you guys go to the gym together, you go on walks together, hot girl walks together.
Hot girl walks.
And, you know, I wanted to ask how you feel that your kind of dedication to fitness has kind of changed between 25 and 30, because obviously you're 30 now, right?
Yeah. Do you know what? It's so much harder now. And I was talking about it earlier today, in that when I was 25, for example, I had a PT. So I've done every sort of activity you can think of. Everything in the gym I've done. I've done swimming, I've done trampolining, I've done running, I've done gym, I've done everything you can think of. I did Pilates the other day. And what they don't tell you is that your metabolism slows down a lot and your energy is just not there. What it was 5 years ago is not there now. And where you've got different responsibilities, you know, you're paying your bills, you're going to work, you're trying to just keep your home tidy, trying to go to the gym, it is a lot harder now. So having someone to hold you accountable really works, which is why I love your challenges, because in the chat you're pushing us to just keep going, even just get out there and do something is super important. But I think 5 years ago, I had more energy, I think. Had more energy. Maybe I didn't have much responsibility, so I was able to do more stuff. But now I have to really put in the actual work and ethic to get myself up there and do things. And you view your body very differently. You know, looking back at pictures, I'm always like, wow, I look good. But now, at the time, but even now, I think body dysmorphia is a massive thing. And as I'm getting older and I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh, something isn't how it sat 5 years ago. It's not quite the same. So I think having someone to motivate you definitely does help.
It does help. And I think, you know, as women, our bodies change so much and our lives change so much. So between that time frame, you know, from 25 to 30, your priorities are different, your responsibilities are different, like you said. And also your metabolism does slow down. And also it's learning your body at this age versus that age, and knowing that you have to kind of treat it differently, and you need different things to give you that energy. So food needs to be a little bit different. Rest needs to be look a little bit different. And, you know, I think in terms of, I speak to so many ladies who are exhausted. They're so exhausted. And that's ranging from 30 or even late 20s right up to 50. And they are just on this kind of work kind of mode. And they can't get out of it. I spoke to a lady actually on Monday, and she was just saying, she was telling me her work schedule, and I was like, that's not great, you know. And she's finishing it soon, but you know, I think it does become harder and harder to prioritize your health and fitness. Do you ever see that in the workplace? Do you ever see people in your team, for example, or people that you had recruited in where you're like, okay, there needs to be a bit of work around general wellness and kind of fitness when they're coming into the workplace or into the team?
So within my company, we have a run club.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm fairly new to the company, but there's a run club there. So they do go on runs like every Thursday, which is quite nice. I would say I work in quite a young agency, so the average age is about 32.
Oh, wow.
To be fair, so media is usually quite young. So the average age is 32. So you see a lot of people bringing in like their breakfast for the overnight oats, for example. You know, it's quite like that. And when I used to work in recruitment, though, the typical recruitment profile is an Essex boy who plays rugby or does football. They are active. They're coming in from the gym. They've got their protein shake. So it's very different. 10 years ago, it's very different. Now in media, it's a bit more flexible. You can relax a little bit more. People got families, for example. So even that's a bit harder. What I do find though is that no one brings in fast food for lunch.
Oh, really?
I had McDonald's one day and I never did it again. I felt so embarrassed.
Did you?
Yeah, because everyone's either getting what's that place? Farmer J, for example.
Farmer J.
Salad Project, those trendy spots. And I just wanted some McDonald's quickly.
Yeah.
So I brought in McDonald's once for lunch and I ate at my desk. And I just felt embarrassed and I never did it again.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm bringing in food now. So everyone brings in packed lunch. And I think that definitely helps with not dieting, but just eating healthier, because you're bringing in food.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also, there's time for that. Like, obviously, Lauren's work, they do payday pizzas and stuff like that. So that's kind of a treat for the office kind of thing. But I think the majority of the time, they do take their own lunch in. Like she says that she's got this for lunch or whatever. Yeah. And I think that is really good. I think that there are, because I remember when I was working like primarily in the city and the clients, they would go to Farmer J's or we'd go to Farmer J's and get stuff. So it is good that there are those things around. Yeah. And it's kind of nice that things are changing away from that because, it's not to say that you could never have McDonald's ever, but it's just like, it's nice to know that, actually, let me just go to somewhere that's, a
bit healthier.
And then, it's always good, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're full up for longer as well. I feel like McDonald's after 2 hours, you're hungry again.
2 hours, you're hungry. And also just like, it's just kind of nothingy. At the time it's like bangs, but then afterwards
them
like,
chips.
The chips. The chips, that's the favourite thing.
Them chips.
It's a double cheeseburger. That's
so
the best thing.
My order. I'll do medium fries, double cheeseburger, and a regular Coke. Not Diet
medium
Coke.
fries, double cheeseburger, and a regular
Coke.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty standard.
That
then
is
if I'm
quite
feeling
standard.
cheeky, an apple pie on the side. But for me, it's the double cheeseburger, medium fries.
So I used to be quarter pound of cheese, but I've changed it to double cheeseburger.
It's much better.
My sister broke it down to me. She was like, there's more cheese. And it's just so much. And she was like, the quarter pound is always cold.
Yeah.
And she was so right.
The double cheeseburger sounds so bad. Sorry, guys. The double cheeseburger.
Yeah,
I know. The double cheeseburger. It's cute. It fits in your hand. It's easier to eat. Yeah. And it's just delicious.
Yeah, it is good. But yes, go to Farmer J's, everybody.
Yeah. Eat healthy.
No, but I think there is room for that. And I think that, what I say to my clients is that just give yourself some room. So when you want something, like you've got a kind of a craving for fast food or sweets, or whatever, just kind of, there's a few things that you can do. You either have the thing, you move on, you don't have any guilt, you just move on and you go to your next meal or your next day of eating. Yeah. You have something that's lower calories. So you go and you get the burger patties from Sainsbury's, you get the bun, you put it in the oven, you get the oven chips, satisfies the craving. Or you kind of just let it go and move past it. And you just think, do you know what? It's a craving. It'll pass. And then the next day.
Can I just say one thing that Lauren taught me that you taught her?
Oh, yeah.
Is that if you're craving something like sweet, have a banana.
Oh my God, a banana is the best.
Yeah, that's
thing
what
ever.
I've been doing. I'm like, where's the banana, Kianna? Where's the banana?
Yeah. But I don't know if she doesn't
like
bananas,
the texture, she says.
Yeah.
But me, I'll have it, it's fine.
Yeah, I saw a TikTok once. It was like, are you really hungry? Or can you just have a banana?
Yeah.
It's so true.
So now I'm like, have the banana.
Well. Aloha and welcome to the Everything You podcast. My name is Nicole, and over the episodes, I'm going to have a number of different guests talking all things fitness, health, and wellness, and how they prioritize themselves throughout their careers and their busy lives. Episode, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. So in terms of your fitness regime, so obviously you've mentioned that you did Pilates a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
You've done obviously, did you say you've done the run club or not yet?
So I've done like a running challenge.
Okay.
Me, myself and I though. So yeah, I've tried to do the running thing. I've done Pilates, I've done swimming, I've done trampolining, I've done gym. I've done everything you can think of. Honestly, I've done everything. What was your question? Sorry, before I go.
It was what your fitness routine or regime is at the moment.
Currently. So right now, I'm kind of figuring out my body.
Okay.
And I say that because I was on contraception for years. And I think that definitely impacted just my overall energy levels and how I looked and how I thought I looked as well. So I'm on nothing right now. And I'm kind of getting used to my own body and what it can take and what it can't do. So My aim right now is to commit to 3 days a week in the gym.
Okay.
That's the aim.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said it to myself because 5 years ago when I had a PT, I was in the gym, I was working out, I was pushing myself. And I think my problem is that I'm just lazy sometimes. So I'm trying to like say 3 days a week. One day I do a class with Lauren. So we do a lift class every Monday. And the other two,
about that one.
it was a good class.
Yeah.
Then the other 2 days, I really want to push myself in the gym. My key to doing that is to get up in the morning and do it in the morning.
Okay.
Because after work, I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to go to the gym after work and it's busy.
Yeah.
But I want to push myself to get up in the morning and go to the gym and do the hour session. And then it's done for the day.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
And will you go before work or will you go when you're working from home?
When I'm working from home, yeah.
Okay.
So I work from home, for example, 2 days a week. So out of those 2 days, I want to push myself to go gym in the morning and get out of the way. And that way I'm not... I have guilt sometimes when I don't go gym.
Yeah.
You know, after work, I'm like, oh, why didn't I go gym? And it gets to 8 p.m. I'm like, right, Love Island, Housewives, like, what can I watch? When really, I should be going to the gym because 5 years ago, I was doing that.
Yeah, I guess it's leading back to that thing is that things have changed, isn't it? And it's about building a routine that's realistic.
Yeah.
And something that is going to work for where you're at now. And you can always ramp it up.
Yeah.
So you can always think, do you know what, actually, I can do 3 days in the gym plus the lift class or something at some point.
Yeah.
But I think just kind of making peace with it and just saying, do you know what, that's going to be my non-negotiable and I'm going to do it and that's it, you know?
What, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
What advice would you give to someone who really is just like stuck in their head and just needs to just get out of their head to get going, to just start?
What, to get started in terms of fitness?
Yeah.
I think just looking very, very realistically at what you can do.
Okay.
Because I think sometimes people paint this fictitious kind of narrative of what their ideal situation would be. They kind of rise out of bed and go to the gym at 9 a.m. It's like, well, no, you've got to be at your desk by 9 a.m.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. Yeah. So it's just looking at, okay, what can I realistically manage and what's not going to make me, you know, want to like crawl back into bed. Like when you think about your fitness routine, like how many days realistically can you do it? So I think you've done it really well where you've said, do you know what, 2 days I'm working from home, I can go to the gym on those days. Yeah. I'm going to do a lift class on the other day. And I think just really paring it back and just if the trouble is consistency, it's starting very, very small. Okay. Because I think a lot of the time people beat themselves up about what they haven't done. Yeah. Like you mentioned the guilt about not going. I think everybody gets that, but I think I've noticed with clients in the past where they just really get down on themselves about not doing it. And it's like, well, that's fine. Me. Tomorrow's another day.
I know, that's what I do. Yeah. I do feel so guilty. And I think because I'm realizing that I'm getting older, I'm noticing that I haven't got the same energy I had those years ago. And when you look at social media, for example, and naturally your For You page, out of nowhere, girls in the gym. And I'm thinking, how are they doing it? How are they getting up and they're shaking their protein powder? I'm like, what are they doing? And yeah, there are days when I'll be sitting at home and I'll just be kicking myself and I'll be thinking, I really wish I went to the gym today or I really wish I started earlier. And I've got my watch as well, so me and Lauren can track when we're doing our fitness stuff. So when she's doing a walk, I'm like, right, get up, do your steps, Kianna, do your steps.
It's nice having that partnership, isn't it? And I don't think I realised how much people value it. Yeah. I think initially I was quite, I don't know what the word is, but I'd be like, why do you need someone to do anything with you? You're on your own. Like you need to go and do it for yourself. But actually we found quite a big, just a really big togetherness in our community where we do meetups for workouts and things like that. And people have been talking about walks and different things where people get together. And there's a real community that's really building, which is really great. And it's really nice to see other people that are doing what you're doing. Yeah. Or you're kind of striving together. You're kind of working together to keep, like you said, the accountability and also working towards your goals and not having that guilt. Having somebody to be like, do you know what? Come on, let's do it today then rather than tomorrow.
That's why I love when you do your walking challenges as well. And I'm like, boyfriend, come on, let's go. Boyfriend's friends, come on, let's go. Yeah, he's so good at it. And it's not even to win the prize. Like, I just want to be a part of something. Do you know what I mean? I like being a part of something where everyone's doing something that they want to improve on as well. Yeah. And walking is the easiest thing to do, don't get me wrong. But there are days where I'm just, I just want to sit down.
Yeah.
But then in the chat, people are like, right, I've done 20K steps today. I said, let me go up and do my steps.
Yeah, it is good. And it also helps to people to see how much more they can move.
Yeah.
Because I've had some people where they've said, I remember there's one lady in particular, and I set targets for steps because I think it's the easiest thing you can do for most people.
Yeah.
And I set her, I think her step target initially was something like 6,000 or 5,000. She was like, I just cannot move. I cannot move more than that. I've got work, you know, she had a couple of kids, everything. And she did that step challenge, and her average, I had to take her average step count up to like 13,000 because she saw exactly how much more she could move.
Yeah.
And then obviously her results skyrocketed as well. I spoke to her the other day, actually. And it's really nice for people to see what they can do and to see other people doing it alongside them, especially when people are getting those like 20K days or 30K days.
Someone's at 170K.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, I was calculating how much in one day.
Yeah,
like, when have they got the time?
Yeah.
But it's possible.
It's definitely possible.
Although, when I did it the first time you did it, I think last year, I remember I was walking in the morning, then walking at lunch, then walking in the evening. And it got to maybe Thursday, I was doing my steps in the morning. I just came home and I just sat down like this. I said, I can't do it. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
But it was because you don't realize how much energy it takes walking.
Yeah,
Walking seems pretty chilled. But it is exhausting at times. So you're pushing yourself.
And it's not sustainable to walk at that, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I remember there was a girl who won, I think she won the first one or second one, and she was on like a hike for the whole week.
Oh my God.
And I think she was hiking. I can't remember which trail she was doing, but she was away hiking for the whole week. And obviously that's not sustainable, you know, like you can't keep that going. But, and also as well, if you are moving a significant amount, then food needs to change, which is where you'd get the energy from to keep going.
Yeah.
Which is maybe something to speak about the next challenge that we do. But I think, it'd be nice to build on those challenges because they're really popular. And people really do enjoy them and they do like the kind of togetherness of it all. Is giving the next guest a question from the previous guest.
Okay.
So the next two guests that I've got are my friend and now singing teacher, Jay. We trained at drama school together. She's just had a baby and her baby's 1 now. And her mum. So her mum is a Pilates teacher. Oh. And she also used to be a Benny Hill girl, which was this show that used to come on like primetime TV, and she used to be a dancer on there. And I think he used to like chase them, so maybe so a little bit different. That wouldn't be on TV now, but yeah. So they're both at different stages in their lives. Yeah. Both really prioritize their fitness. Jay's also a comedian as well. So just giving you all of that. Yeah. But we would love you to give them a question that they can answer when they come onto the show.
Two separate ones for the mum and the
could be.
The lady, Jay, who just had a baby.
Yes. Well remembered.
Oh my goodness. I've got so many questions for her. Me and Lauren say it all the time. How do you manage going to work, paying the bills, having a child, managing your fitness? How do you have time? How do you juggle it all, basically? Because what I've learned, whenever I'm talking to new mums, for example, the number one thing they do say is that you can't have it all. But how does she juggle all of that as well as being a mum?
That's a really good question.
For the mum who's a Pilates teacher, has she all been a Pilates? She's been a dancer, you said, originally. So fitness was kind of always instilled in her, I guess. Question can I ask the mum? I guess, what advice would she give to someone who has lost their spark in fitness? I think that's what that's me, basically.
Okay.
I've lost my spark in fitness.
Do you feel like that?
Yeah. Okay. Do you know what? It's so when I look back at pictures of me back in the day, I was in the gym working out.
But is that what you're comparing now to? Is that where you're feeling that loss of spark?
I think so, yeah. I don't know what it is. I think where I'm, and I hate to say I'm a workaholic, but I do work a lot. I've got so much other things that I'm doing at the same time that I don't think I prioritize fitness sometimes. And I'm so burnt out with just work life and the emotional baggage that I have to carry with working in D&I. It's not easy.
Yeah.
That sometimes I just haven't got the energy to commit to fitness. And and I shouldn't be comparing myself to 5 years ago because I was very different back then. But I do look back at how active I was and how different I looked and how different I felt within myself. I'm not an insecure person at all, but there are moments where I go through phases where I'm like, oh my God, I wish I looked how I used to look. And I just feel like I've lost that oomph
I think there's a few things there. I think obviously comparing yourself to how you were before, there's so much that's changed and there's so much that's flourished since then.
Yeah.
So I think let's keep that in mind. Also, I think if you want to get excited, I think it's obviously trying some other things. So what haven't you tried? I know you've listed a few things, but what haven't you tried? And also one other thing that you can do is set yourself a really big new challenge. Think about how you would like to feel now, not obviously, you know, compared to back in the day, and set yourself a big challenge to say, do you know what? That's how I want to feel. Think about how it can impact your life as it is now, how it can impact your career, your relationship, your quality of life, and then maybe go for that. And then also the last thing is we have seasons. Some seasons are for just kind of sitting in who we are now, working, making sure that that is where it needs to be. The next season might be family, we just don't know. And I think that it's sometimes really important to just take that downtime, sit in that season, and you're already prioritizing your fitness by doing what you're doing at the moment. So I think that's what I'd say to you about that.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much for coming on, Kianna.
Thank you
for
for having me.
Have you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching the Everything You podcast. My name is Nicole, and if you liked what you heard, then please do like, subscribe, and share.